For those of you who have been in Dean's and my office, you will notice on the wall just inside the door something that is referred to as a stress reduction kit, which consists of a circle with the words "bang head here" in the middle of it, and then the steps for using the stress reduction kit underneath. Step 1, place kit on the wall. Step 2, follow directions. Step 3, repeat as needed. It's interesting that when we are stressed out, oftentimes in our lives, we can use this stress reduction kit as a way of sarcastically talking about our stress by banging our head against the wall again and again and again. I wonder, though, if often part of the reason we're in a place where we're banging our heads against the wall is because we've actually created stress in our own lives. This morning when I was sitting in the RCC check-in meeting, there was a reading from one of the books. They use a different book each day. And the beginning of the reading for the day had a quote by Olive Schreiner, who was a South African author and anti-war activist. And she once said this. She says, "Wisdom never kicks at the iron walls it can't bring down." I often wonder if the stress that we have the stress that we have in our life is caused by the fact that we basically try to kick at walls and knock down iron walls that we can't actually bring down on our own. And it's because we're not actually operating in wisdom. The reading went on to talk about the Serenity Prayer. Now, I just want to be clear that I'm not talking about the Jerry Seinfeld Serenity Prayer, the one from, I think it was episode 159 of Seinfeld, where we hear one of the characters screaming "Serenity now" as a way of trying to, rage and get past the anger and stress of the moment and get to a place of serenity. No, what I'm actually referring to and what the reading was talking about was the Serenity Prayer that I think more of us are familiar with, the one that says, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." I find oftentimes we cause ourselves a lot of stress because we're trying to kick down and beat our heads against the wrong walls, because we've decided to look at a situation or a circumstance in life that has been put in front of us, and we've tried to do it our way. The book of Proverbs in the Bible offers a whole lot on the idea of wisdom. If you are interested, pick up your Bible, open to the book of Proverbs. You will find the word wisdom used again and again. One of the quotes that from the book of Proverbs I wanted to share today is this one from Proverbs 28:26. It says this: "Whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom will be delivered." It's kind of an interesting thought, because when we have circumstances and situations in our lives that we are struggling with, often we just try to problem solve them ourselves. And we go, okay, well, I'm going to attempt to do this, this, and this. And hopefully, if I do this, this, and this problem will disappear. And if that doesn't work, we say, all right, well, I'm going to try to do it this way. And I'm going to do this, this, and this. And of course, that doesn't work either. And after trying a variety of different means and not getting anywhere, we begin to be stressed, and we begin to need this stress reduction kit that I was talking about. By the way, if you want a copy of it, Dean and I would be more than willing to give you a copy. But we end up causing ourselves additional stress and additional angst in our life because we're not living in a place of serenity. We're not living according to wisdom. We're living according to our own minds, which oftentimes do not have the capacity to actually work from a place of wisdom. Actually, another passage in Proverbs says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And I don't think that's about being fearful of God, but it's understanding in part that God is God and we are humans, and we have limitations and God doesn't. And that God has a plan and a way to get through any problem that we're going through. Just another verse I want to share from Proverbs. Proverbs 17:24 says, "The discerning person sets his face towards wisdom, but the eyes of the fool are on the ends of the earth." Isn't that the way it is so often? we are looking around at the situation around us, and we're looking at what is it that I can grab onto today that will take care of this particular problem, and we're not finding anything. And so we're actually acting in a fairly foolish manner. One of the things that God's been teaching me over the last number of months is this idea of having an inner freedom towards all things, um, and the way that happens is having an inner freedom towards all things because we have this desire to be totally submitted to the will of God. So I'm not, as I submit to the will of God, being controlled and stressed out by situations and circumstances that I can't deal with on my own. Um, I've heard in the 12-step circles for a number of years now the idea that renting space in your head to bad thinking is a really, really bad investment, and what you need to do is get those thoughts out of your head. Well, how do we do that? Part of that is setting our face towards wisdom. God is the source of wisdom. So what I'm doing more and more often is when I find myself being stressed out and having angst and anxiety about a particular situation that I can't solve, I go to God and I say, God, I need you to come up with the solution for this. In fact, I trust that you already have a solution worked out and that in your time and in your way, you're going to deal with it. Um, and I find that, that thinking and that little prayer lasts for a little while, and then I got to go back to God and I have to submit it to Him again. But I find eventually what begins to happen is that I have this inner freedom towards all things but the will of God. And so when something happens that I don't really like, God makes me okay with it. He helps me to be okay with it. But I think the truth is we have to set our face towards wisdom. We have to stop trying to kick down iron walls that we can't bring down. The wise person, the person operating wisdom says, God, what is it that you want me to be kicking at? What wall do you want me to be kicking down? And what's interesting is we're looking at one particular wall and God says, no, go kick that wall down over there. Not realizing that when we kick that wall down over there, that the wall that's right in front of us right now ends up falling down because God had a different plan and a different way of approaching that. So today I want to challenge you to become a person, and it's a challenge for me as well, to become people that are not kicking against the iron walls that we can't bring down, but that we are going to God and saying, God, what is it that you want to do? And trusting Him to kick down the iron walls that we never can and getting us through whatever situation that's there. He is our wisdom, and short of that, we're doomed to fail. God will get us through when we trust Him.